Please enjoy the Renaissance Man.
Well, they said go, and I didn't hear it. So, hello, everybody. My name. Let's start again. I'll enter. All right. My lords and ladies, well met and welcome to this, my section of the esteemed Digital Renaissance Festival. I am an act that may well be unfamiliar to many of you. I am Neddy, actor of tragedy. And my friends, I am at your service. Here tonight, I'm going to try taking a stab at comedy, and as you can see, I've been practicing a bit of juggling whilst you're waiting. I must confess, this is so much easier than the other way. But we'll put this to the side for the moment. I have prepared a process for you, and I hope to give you some laughter. Let's start off by addressing the obvious. I know I look like a middle-aged man dressed like a middle-ages man, but in fact I am your humble servant, your friendly neighborhood Renaissance man. And yes, I do say Renaissance man because I am nothing if not a frightful pedant. I am also known as the jackass of all trades, if you prefer that as a moniker. We're starting off slow. I want to give folks a chance to chime in and make commentary. I'm hoping that I can see the commentary that you can up on one of the sites. I don't actually have a feed of that, so I'm gonna proceed, and I'm going to do something really juicy that the folks in the wizard booth will tell me about it in our little pool. Right, so I'm just going to keep going. How's that? I'm going to keep going as though everything was perfectly normal. Yes. So, Maskerade is our theme. Yes, isn't that lovely? I brought some toys that I've collected since I began doing fairs in 1588. You may do the math on your own. This one was a gift at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Festival in 88, and I used it to do a few scenes of Cyrano on the street until someone knocked it off my face and it broke, and then it went on the shelf. Now this one I picked up at the Maryland Renaissance. This is a genuine Larry Wood, and I would wear it the entire time. It would be difficult for me to juggle, and I intend to do some juggling as well as all the talky talk attempts at comedy. Speaking of attempts of comedy, I have one coming up in just a second, but first, going back to the concept of Maskerade and pausing again to see if I can start up a browsing window which will allow me to see this wonderful event as it's happening with the commentary from you lovely people. It is my sincerest hope that with but a few clicks, I will have access to this, and then we'll all really be sharing, because sharing is caring, or some nonsense like that. I don't do Pollyanna very well. I do harsh and abrasive. You'll see as we go along. All right, so I found the digital fair site. I've almost found our feed, friends. Please bear with a Luddite for just a second or two. I promise there's jokes coming. No naughty jokes, though. I promise I don't do blue. The closest I get is periwinkle. My other computer is supposed to be showing me this. There's the Maskerade ball. Click on the Maskerade ball and start it. And well, there's things happening. Oh, there's hearts happening. That's very kind of you. Well, let me try to earn those hearts. Friends, I'm a geek from long way back, but I fancied myself a geek in many different ways. I didn't realize I was a geek missing out on the best geekdom ever. In honor of Maskerade, Neddy's Book Corner suggests to you a bit of reading in your off hours. Maskerade by Terry Pratchett. I'll hold it up close so that you can see it. This is one of the witch books. Witches love my show, particularly my witch trial show. This is a great fun book. Enjoy it immensely. Terry Pratchett was a wonderful writer and will speak directly to your heart. Hardly a page without an out loud laugh for me. So, I think perhaps we're going to have a toast in just a moment, but first a sip for the narrator. I did promise as many juggling tricks as I could cram into this. Now, this is deceptive. This is not actually a juggling trick. This is something else. Pause to glance at the feed. No comments to respond to that I can see, so I'm going to plow ahead. Maybe at the end there'll be a gold mine of wonderfulness to plow through. Oh, I'm sorry, I said wonderfulness, and that was an album by that comedian that we don't reference anymore. Well, anyway, comedy. A lot of people see a juggler pick up the rings and they think, oh goody, he's going to toss those up in the air. He might even throw one over top. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do for you, now here's one of the interesting things about this venue. Normally at that juncture of the show, some jackass stage left would have shouted out, "Oh, you just done it. Don't tell us you're not going to do it if you just done it," which of course is redundant. So I'm not going to do that for you. What I'm going to do are religious and historical impersonations. Yeah? First, Saint Thomas Aquinas. Next, Saint Joan of Arc. Had she lived to 60? And of course, Joan of Arc did not live to 60. Why? She was the first French fry. Now would be an excellent time, I think, to pause for just a tick and check and see if there's any messages from the wizards, who might well be saying desperately to themselves, why doesn't Neddy respond? Hopefully not. A request for a toast. It's coming up. I promised I'd give it to you. Are they always this impatient here? Right, they're going to feed me the comments. Now that I'm on the right page for it, I'll be able to see it. So, success, everyone. I'm sorry to be so slow. But I did promise a toast, and one is coming up. This is my banner, by the way. I call my banner Bruce. I don't always break with the time period for the sake of a cheap laugh, but when I do, it's pandering, and I, the Renaissance man, always give you 33 1/3 more syllables than a real comedian. Now, a toast. A toast, friends, to the monarch of the realm. Now, for me, this is good Queen Elizabeth. You might well be a fancier of her monstrous father. You might well be a devotee of one of those foreign buggers in charge of lesser countries like Spain. But whatever it is that you find to be the head of your state, we will use that, if you will. You may use the Ankh-Mor Porkian generic form. I will say God save the Queen. You might say to yourself, bracket deity of preference bracket, save the bracket, gendered tyrant of choice bracket. Although it will save time and energy and effort if you just say along with me, God save the Queen. God save the Queen. That's right. If anyone's going to save her, God's the very chap for the job. Now, I stole that line. I stole that line from Billy Connolly. But whenever I steal a line from a better comedian, I'll always tell you I've done it. And why will I tell you? Because I'm not Dennis Leary. Let's watch the comments explode at that one. Just scrolling down for a sec. I did say that God save the Queen, right? We gesture to heaven for that. How many people out there actually believe heaven is up there? Anyone? No? Myself, I don't believe heaven's up there. I believe the earth revolves. It might have been up there at 9 this morning, but now it's over there. I'm writing a book, Hell is to the Left. Actually, I stole that line. I stole that line from Lenny Bruce. But whenever I steal a line from a better comedian, I'll always tell you I've done it. And why would I tell you? Because comedy happens in threes, so pretty much bank on that one coming back round again. Let's check the feed and see if anyone's responded to my horrible and grievous insults toward a dearly loved and beloved comedian. I disappeared. My last thing I see is a request for a toast. We've done that. So we'll move on. We'll move on to the next thing, which is 3-ball routine. I was doing some of the 3-ball routine earlier. Let me see if we graduate and get to 4. Now, the 4-ball routine starts off with a bit of a warm-up. Some people look at this and they think, good God, Ned, that probably hurts like the devil. And I say, no, it didn't used to. But then a few weeks ago, I broke both of my elbows at the same time. It actually made rather a drastic sound. It sounded like this. This is one of the buggers about not doing live performance. I love watching a whole audience of people going, ooh, at the same time. So let's see if the 4-ball pattern works. Quick check on the feed here. Here we go. Hop. Keep your eyes on the pattern, friends. It starts off thus. Then it changes. Not only does it change, it alters, transmogrifies, and metamorphoses. And now, down to 3. Because I have these lovely prehensile eyebrows, I like to follow the ball if possible. If you can follow the red ball with me, please, by all means do. It might be difficult for those of you with the red-green colour blindness. Now, we don't laugh at the handicapped. Got the eyeball on it now. Watch the eyes. Here we go. Oh, bollocks, I'm stuck. Robin Hood juggling. Everyone knows about Robin Hood, right? If you know about Robin Hood, give me an eye. Everyone? Nice. Robin Hood was famous because he stole from the... and robbed from the... I guarantee you I got someone out there. He used to collect the taxes back from the Sheriff of Nottingham. He'd say to the Sheriff of Nottingham, "Hey, you, gimme, gimme, gimme. Bugger, I dropped." That's going to happen. Life is like that. If you make a mistake, you pick up and keep on going. And that's as positive as I get. Let's go straight to the gimmies. Gimme, 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 gimme. Hey. So we've gotten through the 3 ball. I showed you the eyebrows. If you didn't like any of the tricks, I have better ones coming. My idea here is to ingratiate you by showing you as many of my wares as possible. Over the past 25 years, I've developed a lot of different programming, most of it interactive. I would get audience members to volunteer and join me on stage where they would become the stars of the show. Difficult in one's bedroom, without a lot of cash. So, let's move on. As an actor of tragedies, I thought I'd share a little show and tell, some of the tools of the trade with you. This bit of cloth, this green cloth, would be laid upon the floor of the stage when tragedies were going to be put on, because death scenes require a tragic carpet. I'm not making this up, friends. I found it in a dictionary of theatre and laughed for a full 5 minutes. Now, Yorick will be more familiar to you. Yorick was very familiar to us, Elizabethans as well. Us entering with a skull was a common stage effect. Now, Yorick, of course, comes from the play of Hamlet. We'll do a quick quiz for the crowd. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him. Well, excellently done, friends. If you said Horatio, you give 10 points to Gryffindor, or indeed the house of your choice. Even Slytherin, if you must. If, however, you said, well, you're wrong and bad and need to crack a book. That's why no one loves you. By the way, there's now swag at the Renaissance Man website, renaissance-man.com. There's now onesies with "That's Why No One Loves You" written on it, because people I asked who had babies thought that was funny. So there it is. So Yorick here. Yorick also, as I mentioned, was from Hamlet. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, you cannot do the play of Hamlet. I know, you're thinking, Neddy, that's nonsense. No, in Lancaster, they have a very strange accent. They do not use the phrase "to be." The floor needs swept. The walls need painted. Can you imagine the greatest monologue in the history of the world being reduced to, or not? See if I'm going over the heads of the crowd here. Probably not. You seem like a brainy lot. An Irishman who says we don't recognize the English. Yes, well, for the Irishman that doesn't recognize the English, that's all right. I'm not dealing with hecklers this evening. One person says, "Where's Captain Vines when you need him? I'm with you." Now, Yorick here has been with me for a very long time. I used to fill his eye with water so I could squirt the people in the front row. God help me, the splash zone. and I would always tell the audience not to worry, that it was only water. And then after a sufficient comedic pause, I would tell them from New Jersey, which inevitably got a roaring laugh. Especially the day I was performing in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at a middle school. And I did that line in the middle of the country. I didn't expect much of a laugh. Squirt, go I. Ooh, says the crowd. Don't worry, it's only water, says I. From New Jersey, every head turns to the teacher who had just moved there from New Jersey. So Yorick. Sometimes kids are afraid of Yorick. They think he's an actual skull. I always tell them, no, watch. Look at this, Yorick Squeezo. You can't do that with a real person's head unless they're just born. That's one of those most horrible jokes that happened spontaneously one day, and people laughed so hard and so badly and so foully, it had to stay in the show. Speaking of the show, since a lot of you don't actually know who this jackass is who's yammering away at you, I thought I'd mention the two different things I do. As you see, stand-up tragedy. Those who are married out there understand tragedy. And my signature show, though, is not this. This is a variety show. My signature show is the witch trial. Technically, it's combined with a bear baiting. So it's the Bear Witch Project. What I do is we take an innocent woman guilty of no wrongdoing whatsoever and burn her to death to glorify an all-loving God. This is irony. Some of you may not get irony. Some of you may think it's like Goldie or Bronzy, but less expensive. I stole that line from Edmund Blackadder, and you know why I'm telling you. 3, call back. So I carry this around with me at Renaissance festivals to advertise my show and get people to come. And I meet two kinds of people when I carry it around. I meet jackass men. I meet jackass men who like to see it and then point to their wives behind their backs. And I say, no, sir, it's a W. And then she hits him, which is very rewarding to me. I'm going to pause for a second. I saw a flash on the screen. Yorick must have lost a bet. Yes, he ate his hat. I put his tongue out his mouth, thinking that was clever and funny. But as an actor of tragedies, comedy's not my forte. And as a pedant, fort is the way you pronounce forte. So anyway, back to me. The other kind of people I meet when I carry my sign around, and this is dangerous ground, I know, but you have to listen for the commentary here. This is comedy. There's jokes here, I promise. The other kind of people I meet beside the jackass men, pagan fundamentalists. I know, stop before you grab your pitchforks and torches. These are people who have not seen the show. Every pagan, every Wiccan, and every single witch who has ever come to my show has walked away saying, Neddy, by God, well, by Astarte, that was hilarious. The people who dislike the show on spec have no idea what it is about. It is a comedy for me. The people who wear pentacles to show how much of a free thinker they are close their minds as swiftly as a Jerry Falwell. Irony. See, I don't do comedy that gets wah-ha knee-slapping laughs. The wah-ha knee-slapping laughs are better comedians. I'm just out there pointing out irony. So anyway, this is one of the shows that I do, and part of it is the bear baiting. Years ago, an act you might have seen and quite enjoyed, Dave Rogen, Isaac Fox, magnificent magician, and an absolutely stellar fellow who is deeply loved. If by one happy chance you're checking in, Dave, I give you a warm greeting. It's nice to see you. Dave gave me this years ago when we were both independent acts at Pennsylvania at the same time, and I use it as the hat that goes on the bear from the audience, the gentleman who plays the bear, except on days when it's too hot, because I love my audience members and I don't want them to suffer for my art like I have to, so this doesn't get used in those circumstances. One day I was carrying around a sign that said both bear baiting and witch trial at the Virginia Festival, and a woman came up to me absolutely furious, overcome with rage. This woman was testy. Well, this woman was ovary, but the point is she was furious, and she said to me, how dare you, how very, very dare you stand on a stage at an entertainment venue and talk about bear baiting? I said, madam, well, I called her madam. I don't know what she does for a living, but I said, madam, I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to act it out. I got a letter that night. I'm going to check the feed here. Oh, I'm glad I found some Blackadder fans. You can't go wrong with old Edmund. So I'm going to keep doing the material that I prepared for you, good people. The next trick is not something I generally trot out at Renaissance festivals. I was raised at the Pennsylvania Fair in the mid-'80s, and then I was raised to be anachronism-free. I've long since slid from that particular wagon, but picking up something as garishly plastic as this in my youth, when I first began at fairs, would have been forbidden. But now I do it because it's kind of fun. Take a toothbrush, a reach toothbrush, and just spin it on your hand. I have made an error. I'm sorry, friends. I've made a mistake. I forgot a problem that I have with this is I don't know how to stop without dropping yet, and I don't want to fail in front of you. So I'm going to have to do this instead of all the other material. Good. I screwed up. Excellent. And we can move on at last. No, I was going to go for a really lengthy pause thing just to see if it worked in video as well as live. I'm not going to do that, though. Instead, I'll tell you this, friends. There may be some of you who do not know who Neddy is, but there may be some who do. If you've ever seen Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, you saw Richard Dreyfuss play my role. And if you saw Shakespeare in Love, you saw a younger, thinner, far more handsome man named Ben portray Neddy. Ben, Flick or something. Quite a good chap. Liked his performance a great deal, but I was doing it 5 years earlier, so la. Where are we on our list here? Oh, we've come to a spot where I get to talk about William Shakespeare, the Fraud of Avon, and simultaneously do a trick for you. We're going to check the feed, though, because it's got on my list here. Check the feed. Real iron takes spine and cast iron stomach. Yes, I like it. All right, so this is the devil stick. This comes from China, but don't be afraid. That would be racist. This is the devil stick. I only know a few tricks with it. Hopefully you'll like the ones I've learned. Hup. Thank you. No, don't applaud for that. That's the oldest, cheapest trick in the book. Well, since my wife died. Anyway, the point is that, like Christopher Marlowe, it goes the other way. Not that we judge. No, the heart wants what the heart wants, and people should be happy. Like Shakespeare, it goes the other way and back and forth. I mean, really, you read the sonnets, you'll find out how confused poor Willie is. Oh. Take two. Read the sonnets, you'll find out how confused poor Willie is. Oh, dark lady, my buttocks. This trick I can do for hours at concerts, and people walk up in their tie-dye and their patchouli all night long, and all they ever say to me is one thing. All they ever say is, dude. Feed checking time. We're still there. So, where are we? We're up to the period reference is going over. I don't want to do things people don't like. Are people still into period references from the Renaissance? I mean, it's kind of my shtick. I sincerely hope it's working for you because it's worked for me for 25 years, and it's all I got for you, friends. I could do modern stuff. A few weeks ago, I was driving through Indiana. I passed a sign for a fertility clinic called "Who's Your Daddy?" Let's see, what have we got for you here? I know I am something of an oddity, friends. I do tend to use facts in my show. You do stand a reasonable chance of walking away having learned something. I'm not actually so much proud of that as I am smug about it. And really, it's that, I'm going to pause here, it's that smugness, you see, that makes my crowd something of a select group. Well, that and the pedantry and the condescension and the outright hostility toward nearly almost everything and everybody. In fact, it would be fair to say my crowd is something of a rarefied group. It's rare if I see them twice. Well, let's say that's why I give them danger. I brought danger for you, friends. These are, as you can tell, the knives. Sometimes I perform in plays by William Shakespeare, The Fraud of Avon. One of his plays takes place in Scotland, and that play is called, I step off the stage here, Macbeth. Now, obviously, those of you who have been coming to festivals a long time know why we actors do not say the name of the Scottish play. I myself don't believe a word of it. I find it to be complete nonsense, but, we play along so people don't get their little fifis hurt. Checking the feed one last time before I do something dangerous and stupid. Nobody's answering it. Is my Renaissance Fair material working? So apparently it's not. I'll go back to the other stuff soon. I'll just trot out a bunch of Bill Hicks routines without the custom. Right, so a trick with the knives. Everyone's cool on the notion that we don't say the name of Macbeth while standing on stage? Great, here we go. Hup. And now, to amp up the danger, to 11. Macbeth. I know, I used to do that trick without the lengthy setup. I'm sorry about the lengthy setup. If I don't put that in, I find that some folks don't get it and they stare at me like a dog being shown a card trick. That's another Bill Hicks line because he's a great comedian. You ought to look him up. Now we've gotten to reasons why I keep cracking wise about William Shakespeare. Friends, in the play of Hamlet, he mocks me directly. You have maybe heard the bit of doggerel he wrote about "Speak the speech, I pray you, as it's written, not as some of our players do." Friends, the sum of our players to whom he refers, the ones who saw our hands through the air, Neddy, actor of tragedies. Checking the feed. Now, that may be of no mind to you whatsoever. It might, however, be true. It might, however, be true that I have another trick I could do for you. I'd like to do something that will instill a sense of wonder and awe, friends. I have here a prop from one of my shows, Pandora's Box. As you know, friends, within this box are all the evils, all the plagues, all the trepidations, and all the trials and tribulations we are ever to go through as a human being species. With one's catch, out they come. But remember, no matter how bad things get, hope remains within and will always be present. Sorry about the loud bang. That will not happen again. By the way, if anyone doubts my credentials, Neddy, actor of tragedies, real guy. So, what I want to do for you, friends, is tell you about let's see what the time is. Oh, we're doing fine. We've got 10 min left. I'm going to check the time. Oh, great. People are liking the Renaissance stuff. Outstanding. That's superb. Do you know there are some people so stupid? Ask me, how stupid, Ned? They're so stupid. They don't think Shakespeare wrote his own plays. I know some of you are already scoffing and guffawing. And if it were safe to do, you might be clapping your hand to your forehead, but don't touch your face. Actually, a few weeks ago, just before this whole thing broke, I had my last school show. While I was there, I was treating the whole thing as best practices theatre, no one touching anyone else. And even when I taught them tragedy, where the wrist goes to the forehead and you cry, moan, we had a gap, you see, a gap of safety, so that we did not touch our face. That gap right there, yes, that gap is the same as this gap right here. That gap and this gap, this is the gap that cost Al Franken his career. So, but back to Will. There are people that do not believe he wrote his plays. They are called anti-Stratfordians because, of course, Will came from Stratford. I have written the very first and only, or if you're a Marlowe fan, the Faust and only Shakespearean knock-knock joke. Before we get to the Shakespearean knock-knock joke, one last trick at the thingy here. Very good. Now, you know how these jokes work. Very simple. I'll start. You know your line when it comes by. Let's do it together. Knock, knock. Shakespeare. Exactly. So, friends, sorry, I made a ding. It's especially funny. I'm gonna move up close, friends. I'll lower my voice so I don't overpower the radio. What just happened was that my cell phone went ding during my show. During my show. During my show, my own cell phone went off. I'm going to have to take my own cell phone and snap it in half. That was probably the funniest thing that's happened all night to me. So I promised you at the end, as you short for a knock knock joke, we gave you that. How about we just close with a dangerous trick and a pretty trick? That should eat up the last few minutes. Has anyone got questions? I'm not as good at answering advice as my dear friend Gwendolyn. I'm not as racy as some other performers, but I'd love to answer a question or even two, depending on how interested people might be, or indeed not at all. Tell you what, I'll start getting the trick together. Now, what it involves is an apple and a wickedly sharp, vicious-looking knife. Can't usually do this at my Renaissance Festival shows. A wickedly sharp and vicious-looking knife. Yes. So, there is a bit of a lag. Oh, yay, danger. You know what? There's a lag, so I'm going to tell you a joke I thought up out of my own brain pan, because I like those the best. I'm a big fan of original work. I'm a big fan of authors, and I'm a big fan of well, as you can tell from my cracks about Dennis Leary, I'm a big fan of people who aren't plagiarists. So here's a joke I thought up out of my own brain pan. My uncle was a rich man. Before he died, he had a portrait painted and hung it on the wall. The problem was he was an introvert, so no matter where you go in the room, the eyes avoid you. And I would like to give you an Irish joke. It's an Irish joke I did not make up of my own volition. I wish I had. It's a corker. Your line is simple. Your line is, "No, Ned, tell us." Let's rehearse. Very good. So, have you heard about the Irish boomerang? You can throw the Irish boomerang, it won't return, but it'll sing sad songs about why it can't. I heard a laugh. That's like having an audience out there of one lone woman. Uh, Actually, lone women are nice. By the way, no ring on the finger now. And ladies, this is all back on the market. Oh, that was good. All right, so I'm not going to answer other people's jokes. What do Scotsmen wear under their kilts? No, I'm not doing your jokes. This is my time. I don't mean to sound selfish or needy, but hey, needy Neddy. Now, this is a dangerous and stupid trick. Do not try this at home. If you try this at home and you cock it up, you could end up with stigmata. That was a joke for the papists out there. I was raised Catholic myself. I'm all better now. I'm part of an anonymous 12-station program. Usually in the show, that's the juncture where some jackass stage right would yell out, "There's 14 stations of the cross, you heathen!" And I tell him that's why nobody loves him. And then I offer a T-shirt for sale, because now I've got T-shirts for sale that say, "That's why nobody loves you." One has Shakespeare, one has Queen Elizabeth, one has my own wife Joan, and that's what I've got to offer. So, a trick. Oh, by the way, if you liked the first Catholic joke, you'll love this one. Where did I put that St. Anthony medal? I've been doing that joke for decades. When I had the chance to work at the Connecticut Renaissance Festival, after my show, a woman put into my hat something that was so funny, I did not curse her for it not being spendable. She put in something which has disappeared. There it is. A St. Anthony medal. Normally, I like finding things I can turn into fungible cash, but this is pretty keen. And again, lady, I thank you. And people are now thinking, "Come on, Ned, get to the trick. You've only got 4 minutes left." I'll try to be on time, friends. No one likes to be that guy. All right, so if you could, friends, count with me once, twice, thrice. And if the trick goes horribly bad, for Master Paolo. Master Paolo, are you hearing me? Just so you have a clue, because we never chatted before this began, just so you know exactly when I'm going to finish, it'll be the conclusion of the crystal ball routine. Just so you know what's going on visually. You've got a couple of seconds. Communication, very important. So, if everything goes horribly wrong, friends, remember, there have been gusts of gravity in this region all week long. Count with me once, twice, thrice. Once, twice, thrice. Now, a lot of people don't know jugglers will often cock up the first try so people like them better when they succeed. A lot of people also don't know when you have the chance, buy far larger apples for this trick. You'll like the one after this, I promise. Oh, that's right, third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. If you'd be so kind as to cross your fingers, friends. Fourth time's the charm. Fourth time's the charm. And that is what you do when you have to improvise a solution. The last thing I want to do, friends, is a pretty trick. I want to be sure I give some thanks out. First, Thanks to Master Paolo for providing such a stalwart and stellar job as host. Thank you to the festival for creating themselves so well and so quickly. Thank you for all of you who stopped by. I can't wait to see all your commentary in the commentary section. And friends, I want to leave you with a thought to carry with you for the rest of your days. Friends, here is the last trick. Are you mesmerized? Say, yes, Ned, we are. Then remember this, friends, and carry it with you. Say, yes, Ned, we will. Use your stinking turn signals. My lords and ladies, you are a magnificent crowd. Give yourselves a round of applause. I thank you from my bottom to my heart. You've made a happy man very old. I hope to see you again down the road.